Leading into the main event, there was some drama over whether or not Brock Lesnar might show up. He had called Paul Heyman in the middle of this show. I love how Heyman had Brock's theme music as his ringtone when he called. And Heyman told Roman Reigns, "We got a problem. Brock Lesnar called me. First time in a year that I've heard from him. And he informed me that he will be at Madison Square Garden next Friday." And Roman laughed at the thought of Lesnar watching the show. I mean, look, we know Brock doesn't watch Raw. He told us as much once. Remember? "Paul, I don't watch the show." Those were his words. Brock Lesnar is a smart man. But apparently he watches Smackdown. Heyman said, "Well, Fox must be big up there in Saskatchewan." And Reigns wondered how Heyman knew that Brock was in Saskatchewan. And Heyman kind of stumbled and stammered and said, "I don't. Maybe he's in Minnesota." And Roman all of a sudden was paranoid that Brock might show up tonight during his match with Finn Balor. Now, before the main event, Balor got jumped by the Usos on his way to the ring. They busted up his ribs with the ring steps. The announcers wondered if he would be able to continue. I enjoyed the match. Balor hit the shotgun dropkick in the corner and the double stomp off the top for a very close near fall. When Reigns got the shoulder up on the kickout, he low-blowed Balor. And the announcers wondered if that was intentional or not because Roman has a history of doing this. And I thought to myself, he does? I don't remember. He probably did do it in one match before. I thought he had done it in the match with Drew McIntyre at Survivor Series, but I think that was different. He gave Drew a blatant low blow, I think, after a ref bump. I don't think that was a low blow on a kick out. But they made it sound like he does this in every match. He does not do this in every match. In fact, I'm struggling to remember which match it was before this that he did this in, but I'll take their word for it. But he did low blow Balor. Reigns locked on the guillotine choke, put Balor out for the win. As Reigns and Heyman were walking out, the lights briefly went red for a second, and you could hear a heartbeat sound. And then it quickly went back to Roman's theme music. So they are teasing the Demon. Balor is bringing back the Demon, probably for Extreme Rules. We have not seen the Demon in more than 2 years. He has been dormant. He has been quarantining from COVID, waiting for his booster shot. And now he is ready to make his return. Now, Brock Lesnar is being advertised for MSG this Friday. They're billing it as a super show, so there should be some stars from Raw on the show as well. I don't know if that'll be on TV or if there'll be some Raw people who were in dark matches that night when they go off the air. I don't know. I don't see them going to the Lesnar match this soon. I think they do the Demon at the next pay-per-view, and we're probably looking at Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar at Sweet Saudi Money next month. I would rather they save the match for Survivor Series in Brooklyn in November and just forget all about this Raw versus SmackDown stuff, all this non-title stuff. Like, I think 1 or 2 Raw versus SmackDown matches or like a Survivor Series elimination matches as an attraction, I think is fine. You don't have to abandon it completely. But there's no need to fill the entire card up and down with Raw versus SmackDown and do a bunch of meaningless non-title matches. And we've gotten some great ones before, don't get me wrong. Last year, Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre had an excellent match. We've seen Brock Lesnar and Daniel Bryan, Brock Lesnar and AJ Styles. So we've gotten some really great matches out of it in the past, but in this case, I think the bigger main event for that building, for that pay-per-view, would be Roman Reigns against Brock Lesnar. And look, you could call it Raw versus SmackDown. Technically, Brock Lesnar is still on the Raw roster. If you go on WWE.com, his profile is still on the Raw page. So there you go. There's your Raw versus SmackDown main event they could do for Survivor Series. Brock Lesnar against Roman Reigns. And I already pitched the idea a few weeks ago on how this plays out. Because if you're going to have Raw versus SmackDown and the mixing of the brands on that show, you could do an angle where we get that first confrontation with Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley, and you can start planting that seed for a match at WrestleMania next year. Now, speaking of Balor, he did an interview with BT Sport and said something very interesting that really depressed the shit out of me. He said that when he found out that his run on NXT was coming to an end, he pushed to move to the UK for a while so that he could do a program with Walter. Walter and Balor, they were going to work against each other before COVID ruined everything and the program got dropped. And that just makes me so sad that we never got that Balor against Walter match, because that would have been fantastic.